Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners elected officials meeting for August. It's Wednesday, August 18th, 2021. It is 12:01. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board, Commissioner and Vice Chair Gary Edwards through our Zoom. In the boardroom, we have Commissioner Carolina Mejia and County Manager Amira Chavez, and three of our elected officials I see so far. Hopefully we'll get some more popping in. Public can attend on our YouTube channel. And this is an open forum with our elected officials. I think we had to cancel this last month, I want to say. I feel like it's been a couple months since we've been together. So hopefully there'll be some good updates around the table. And I'll just start with Mary Hall, our county auditor. She's always got lots of things to report.
Jeff Gladman, he sent me a text. He will not be able to make this meeting.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Mary.
Gosh, there's a lot going on.
Take all the time you need, since you're the three of us so far.
I know my notebook's in my purse because I was in building 5 yesterday, but we have a lot going on. Just certified the primary election yesterday. We do have a recount in the city of Yelm. It was tied for most of the election, but now there's one candidate with a 1-vote lead. So we will be conducting that on Friday. And I actually really like hand recounts. I think machine recounts are a waste because the machine's already counted the ballots, right? But hand recounts really get to showcase the accuracy of our tabulating equipment, because it's a hand recount and those become the new results. So seldom do we have vote changes. And if we do, it's a human error, somebody missing something in ballot inspection. So that is open to the public. We're inviting the candidates and any observers that would like to attend. We started issuing passports several weeks ago, and we are booked out as far as Qmatic will allow us to book out. So we're working to get that actually extended, because if there's anybody like me, I can't usually find time if it's 2 weeks out in my day, but I can typically find time if I'm a month out. So we're working to get that extended, and I'm sure it will book up out to the month too. And Pierce County is experiencing the same thing. So people are very anxious to get passports, and there's been no place to get them for the last year and a half. So I expect we're going to be super, super busy. And in fact, our whole licensing recording department is really busy. We actually recognized our budgeted revenue in recording at the end of June. So what we had budgeted for the entire year, we met in June, and pretty remarkable. So people are still doing a lot of retail or housing transactions, and pretty stinking busy. So much so that Department of Licensing almost ran out of license plates. So for a day, we were actually issuing paper license plates, but they were able to. They found a couple, I think 20,000 pallets, and were able to get us about 10,000 license plates. So what else? I was recently appointed by Secretary Kim Wyman to the Executive Steering Committee for VOTWA. So that's going to be very interesting. It's, of course, a product always under development and can always get better. So I'm excited to bring my technical background to that committee. Tilly, who is my elections manager, actually is the chair of the advisory group, which are all the, election actual hands-on users. So it's great to have, that much representation from Thurston County. We have our exit conference today with the state auditor, actually right after this meeting. And from what I've heard, We're getting another clean audit. So this will be our 6th year in a row, which is super exciting. And that speaks really highly to all of the financial staff across the county because, this year they, of course, audited financial services very, very thoroughly. We didn't even have a single exit comment, but they audited a lot of departments and, many grants and things like that. And to have a clean audit coming out of 2020 with all of that CRF grant money is pretty impressive. And, we had a great team put together that reviewed documentation to make sure we were, dotting our I's and crossing our T's and making sure that we had well documented all of our expenditures and ensuring that they were in compliance. So really proud of, the financial folks all across the county. Did our kickoff of the ERP, our new enterprise-wide system going in, financial system, which will integrate with a lot of other things. So that's pretty exciting. That went on hold due to COVID. So it's nice getting that off the ground. It's going to be, it's probably the largest project the county's taken on in a long time from a IT perspective, but pretty excited about that. And I think we've got some great leaders in this county, that are leading this charge. So that's really great. What else can I tell you? Have a new grants manager on board, Stacy Wyman. She's jumped in with both feet, super knowledgeable, great background, and I think she'll be a tremendous asset to the county. So, well, that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions, but there's a lot going on.
Questions for Mary? From anyone?
Edwards here.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Mary, your employees, how many of them are able to work from home, or maybe a percentage or whatever, that have experienced wanting to continue staying home while they were working from home or want to come back? Do you have any sense of that?
Well, my, of course, licensing and recording department have to be 100% in the office because we serve the public. We do have one project position who is, just working on scanning, our backlog of documents who does telework. Elections, of course, when we're in an election, everybody has to be there. When we're not in an election, there can be a couple folks, especially people who are just updating voter registrations and things like that, that can take the work home with them. But, any election programming or ballot design and things like that, prepping for the next election, they have to be hands-on. Financial services folks, they probably have the most flexibility, but payroll still has to come in to launch payroll. Accounts payable still has to come in to, print all the warrants and also be available to the jurisdictions, the junior taxing districts and other jurisdictions that we service. But the reporting staff, they're pretty flexible and can telework. So it's maybe, 25%.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to get a sense. Thanks.
Anyone else with a question for Mary? I had a quick question, Mary, about the hand recount. I understand what you're saying about the accuracy, but this is one vote. So I'm just wondering, is your confidence level such that you think the hand recount will be identical to the machine?
Yes.
To that one single vote?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'll watch that carefully.
Yeah. I've been doing this work for 25 years and technology has gotten better and better. And so have our ballot inspectors. And if a vote does change, it's really easy to explain why. And it's never the tabulator. It's always human error. But since I've been in charge here in Thurston County, we've never had a vote change.
All right, cool.
That
We'll know that by the end of the week, right?
We'll know. Yeah.
That was going to be my question. Has there ever been a vote count, a change in vote count? But that is very interesting and exciting.
Yeah, it is. And when we had optical scan instead of digital scan, you had more things change, and it was usually just a super light mark if somebody used a pencil, for example. But we pull any ballots like that we think the ballot scanners could miss the mark. So those are things that we look at very closely during ballot inspection. And my ballot inspection crew is really good.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Let's go to Coroner Gary Warnock.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. It's been a rough first half of the year here at the coroner's office. We have, by the end of the year, we'll probably double our overdose deaths. So just for comparison, last year we had a total of 55 overdose deaths. And just for the first half of this year, we've already had 44. And with that comes the need for autopsies. Generally, we average in the first half of the year right around 70 autopsies. And for this part of the first year, we've done 106.
Wow.
I can't forecast the overdoses or the number of autopsies, but we just go on past years and try to plug that in. But this year was it's off the charts. And overdoses is one of them. Homeless deaths is another one. And the indigent unclaimed is another one that's driving my budget down. And those are numbers that I can't control. The autopsy cost, that's a private sector. It's a professional service fee that I have to pay for. And along with that is our consumables, supplies. Every time there's an autopsy or toxicology test, that's all consumables that we utilize here. So I'm going to be coming to you for help.
Anything then for
Can I
Jerry?
ask a question?
Yeah.
How are we on suicides this year? Just covering all suicides.
Suicides, we are at 22 for the year right now. 27, sorry. And we were at 18 at the mid-year point.
Okay. How does this compare to other years?
If we stay on track, we're going to do right at where we used to be, 45, 50.
So it's kind of like about normal.
Yeah.
Can this be, I don't know, I would like to know like the age group. Is there a specific age group where it's gone up? Is it still pretty constant and
I'd have to look at that, Commissioner. I don't have that in front of me right now.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
Yep.
So just a comment, Gary, I used to think my budget was hard because I've got to look into a crystal ball to how many elections I'm going to have in a year, but boy, it doesn't come close to yours. I'm
No.
sorry. I know how tough that is. It's
Yeah.
okay, wild guess here. So
Yeah.
don't
Thanks.
envy you.
Thank you.
Hey, Gary, could you expand a little bit on the unclaimed portion of things that you mentioned there? Is that where the family, you're not able to get a hold of family members or homeless folks, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, so the indigent unclaimed, it's a decedent who, if they die within Thurston County, then by law, the county has to pay for their disposition, whether it be cremation or burial. And the backstory to that is that they don't have family, that through our investigation, there is no known family or the family has been notified and they want nothing to do with their dad, brother, or sister, so they just go unclaimed. And once family's been identified, then that body has to sit for 90 days before it's considered abandonment. And then the funeral home can apply for cremation authorization and then funding.
So they put them basically on ice. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, they sit in a refrigeration unit for 90 days.
How many have you had so far this year?
Indigent unclaimed. So last year we ended at 22, and right now we were at 12 at the midpoint, and right now we're sitting currently at 18.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. But the overdose deaths, those are that's a driving factor in our autopsies, expenditures, and it's a lot of fentanyl, from young teenagers to all of the ethnic groups and classifications as far as jobs. You've got the kids, professionals, doctors, nurses that we see come through here.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Yep.
Let's go to Linda Enlow, County Clerk.
Hi, everyone. Oops, my camera right. So I guess to update you on one of my biggest issues is still hiring staff. We're working on that diligently. We've recently had an already hired employee, already had her date, and she called and said, I got a better offer from the state attorney general's office, $600 more than what we were offering her. Thank you to Romero. We did successfully get her to accept a little bit higher, and she is starting next week. That continues to be a huge challenge for us. I don't think in all the years I've been in this office that I've seen that level of having to go higher than even a step 3 or 4. So anyway, we're working hard to get those positions filled. I think we still have 12 vacancies. Also, we're working very closely with Mary's office. Thank you, Mary, for your staff in dealing with the Blake issues, and Robin also. It's ongoing every day. I continue to send information on to Robin as I receive it from the state or WASAC. I think that's all I have to report. Nice seeing you all.
So Linda, I think you're talking about, when people say Blake, there's sort of like, in my mind, there's kind of like 3 buckets of problems related to Blake.
Yes.
And the bucket you're talking about is the LFO refund for old.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's the one we're working really hard with Mary's office to come up with a process to reimburse the defendants for the money that has been ordered by the court to be returned.
Okay. Any questions for Linda?
Nope,
Thank
I'm
you.
good. Thanks.
Questions, but a comment. That's going to be a lot flowing through my accounts payable department if they come in big chunks. So it's another thing that's keeping my folks hopping, but they're awesome. So they do it take it on with a smile.
When I was in public defense, when I think about the clients who I would say, do you have any criminal history? And no criminal history. And then I'd look at their background and they had a lot of criminal history or whatever. It makes me wonder what percentage of people who apparently can't even remember they had a prior conviction, if it's 20 years ago or 30 years ago, are gonna, not seek, like what percentage of this money will not get paid back because people will not seek out the reimbursement for, and LFOs were a lot less back in the past too. And the legislature keeps tacking new fees and stuff on in the last 10 years or so. So I'm just wondering the calculation of how many will actually have to get repaid versus just fall through the cracks because it's too old or people are gone or they don't remember or they don't see it significant. I mean, I guarantee lots of people don't even remember if they remember their case from the 80s, they don't remember the $75 filing fee or whatever they paid or something like that. Anyway, that's just curious. I haven't really heard any stats on that.
Yeah.
I'm going down the list of order you guys logged on. So Sheriff Snaza, you're up next.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just for the Sheriff's Office, I'll start off kind of where Linda started about employees. We've lost 7 legal assistants in the last 6 months, 2 of which has gone to the state. 1 has gone over to the prosecutor's office, and the other 3 have left. I think probably to be closer to home, I'd like to say. They didn't really have any complaints about the sheriff's office, except I know that during this time, most of them have been coming into work, so don't work from home. So they've been having to show up. And I think some of the people left because they know that going to work elsewhere enables them to be able to work from home. So that has been, when we do the exit interview, that's what they've mentioned anyway. With our corrections, obviously, we're still getting hit hard with the COVID. We've had individuals who've been vaccinated and who have, again, gotten COVID. One of them actually had COVID, got vaccinated, and then got COVID again. So I don't know how this all works as far as how that happened or anything. So obviously we've been impacting not only our jail, but also the courts, because we can't do transfers and transports, and also not allowing the defense to be able to come into our facility. So it's made it very, very difficult. Also, we're seeing that we're having more people in our cell units, which obviously we've talked about the flex unit for a long time, and we are definitely at capacity and overflowing, and it's made it really difficult right now because I have 30 people that have been in my facility long over a year. And I have 1 person that's been in there for almost 5 years. So I'm not really understanding why that occurs or anything, but that's what we're seeing. On the law enforcement side, we are seeing more crime rate, higher crime rate, more reports being taken, especially since the new laws have taken effect. We're definitely seeing deputies spend more time on scenes, and it averages out to be about usually when you show up to a scene and you determine that the person has mental health conditions or issues, that we're going to say, okay, well, we're going to go get you some help, and we can do an involuntary. Now we're seeing it takes about probably at least a call is taking about 2 to 3 times longer per mental health call, just because of having to talk to the individual, getting the DCR to respond if they can, and then going down that path. So calls are taking longer. We're seeing more reports, and we're having more deputies respond to it used to be like a deputy would respond to just like a mental health call or something if we knew that it was always at John's place or something. Well, now we're using 2. So we're taking, because of our minimum staffing, calls are pending longer. because we're trying to respond to a lot of these calls with double units just because of what it requires. And we've mostly been seeing that on our SWAT call outs as well. We're seeing SWAT call outs go a lot longer than what they used to because of some of the new laws. And it's actually, we've been very blessed and very fortunate because we've been able to resolve these incidents, and all of them we've requested DCRs to actually respond to us with our negotiations team to help us. So that's really been beneficial, especially if the individual's armed and they have a history of violence when normally a DCR wouldn't respond. But because it's a SWAT call out, they will respond and assist us at the command post, and we can work from that. So it's obviously it's ever changing, and we're trying to work through it. And it's obviously made a lot of people nervous about we have 13 new legislative law changes. It affects about 100 different policies that we have in place, and we've been able to work that. Now it's bargaining unit time, and they want to bargain some of these new laws, and I really don't know what they're going to be able to bargain when it's the law, but it's made it really interesting the last month or so. It's been really the last few months, I should say. But other than that, we're doing good.
Questions for Sheriff?
Sheriff, yeah, I do have a question. I was trying to see how I could frame it. You mentioned an increased crime rate and more officers on scene. Is there a specific crime that has gone up?
We're actually seeing more burglary complaints, more vehicle prowl complaints, more online reports as well that are having to be reviewed. So we're seeing an increase in that. More domestics, which isn't uncommon for the summertime. But how we respond is just we're using I'm asking more deputies to get back up to these because of the what we're faced with during the time of these incidences, to make sure that we're all abiding by the new laws. And so just kind of they're backing up each other to make sure we're all doing it right. So the crimes that we're seeing more burglaries and domestics and vehicle prowls.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Sheriff. We'll go to Judge Amamilo from the Superior Court.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not here. I don't have a message from presiding Judge Price, but I did send an invite to the Board of County Commissioners in my capacity as second vice chair of my my American Legion Post 94 out of Lacey. We have a Law and Order celebration night in September, and I've invited the commissioners along with others to hear Judge Brett Buckley speak at that event. On other news, on my behalf, I was selected by the governor's office yesterday as a new member of the state's Sentencing Guidelines Commission, and that is a 3-year term, and service begins on September 10th. So that's the updates that I have. Otherwise, we've been talking in our meetings about the best way to continue to apply the recommendations from Dr. Abdulmalik regarding the COVID protocols. And other than that general information, I'm not in a position to speak on behalf of the court about anything else.
Okay.
So thank you. Anybody have any questions about anything that I've said, just let me know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, that was my comment. Congratulations and thank you for agreeing to serve.
Thank you very much.
I think you'll do great. Excited for you.
All right, great. Thank you, Judge. That brings us to Assessor Stephen Drew.
Apologize for being late, you guys. Hello, everyone. Haven't we been here before? Haven't we been here at this moment when the COVID scenario is in flux and the future is uncertain? Man, I'm getting tired of it. I'm sure you all are too. Yeah. Anyway, in terms of what's going on in our office, we've completed our inspection cycle. We've certified the tax roll. We have increased values on residential. In the median increase is 20%, which is a bucket load. The commercial properties increases are much less consistent, but the median increase is somewhere in the 5% range. We have not seen that kind of disparity between commercial and residential since I've been in office. There are two things you watch very closely. One is equity, irrespective of value. So it's easier to hit the value because there are a lot of sales in Jubilee or in a tract of like homes, and there are fewer sales at the top end, say Salt Waterfront. And so you have to disproportionately apply staff to make sure that you achieve equity in the $1 million homes, the same percentage to market value as you achieve in the $200,000 homes. And we can control that by applying staff, right? But we can't control the scenario that we're faced with now, which when, if you've heard me speak to a group, you've heard me say that if your value goes up proportionately to everyone else's value, that does not cause a tax increase. And that's a true statement. However, if residential property goes up disproportionate to commercial property, that shifts the tax burden from commercial property to residential property. And that is our situation. So while normally in a year of significant value increase, we could, scream from the rooftops that that's not going to affect anything. It is going to affect taxes this year or next year. No way to get around that. All of our analyses say that as of January 1, the values that we've placed are accurate through the entire strata of value. And the sales that we've seen see that the values have gone up consistently since January 1, though they're not reflected in the January 1 value. So next year, likely values go up again. Upshot of all of that is we expect to see a much greater appeal load than we've seen in recent years. And the only thing that dissuades that interaction is COVID. So we don't wish for the discouragement. We're trying to survive the onslaught, made more difficult by the growing disparity in salaries at our county between departments and department directors and individually office staff and individual office directors. We've lost 3 employees to other county agencies. We lost my certified general appraiser, a great employee, a great addition to Public Works, nearly impossible for us to replace. So we'll embark on that in good cheer. We'll actually do a national search for that position because we know that throughout Washington State, not only was she the strongest person in that position statewide, including King County, a person who they contacted for a reference. But there just aren't more certified general appraisers on the market in our state. We also had a person issue a resignation due to the mask requirement. This is a unvaxxed individual. So, COVID's kind of having its toll as well. It's been a difficult year. We've been training appraisers all year, 3 appraisers. It's a lot of work. It's 1,000 hours of supervision. Every house they inspect is again reviewed by a more senior person in the office. That investment culminates at the end of this year and beginning of next year. Budget request is in line with all of that. So with all of those challenges, we sent out reval notices for all property at the same time that we're sending out new construction reval notices. There's a lot of counties that do that every year. Regrettably, we had no choice this year because of the COVID impact and the training impact. Other news, legislatively, as the legislative chair for assessors statewide, our priority legislation in this next session is a study bill. It doesn't sound on its surface very exciting, but our objective is to have the state create a statewide bank of aerial imagery, basically to contract for what we're contracting now for in Thurston County, for a statewide flight or a west side of the mountains flight. And then to have that contracted out to counties and cities and state agencies based on the proportionate cost. A couple things will come from that. There will be much greater stability than can exist in all of the counties with budget ups and downs. There will be a significant savings to counties like Thurston if this notion becomes law. It will probably be administered by Enterprise Services or, interestingly, Department of Revenue, who has an imagery office. And so we're working real hard on that. Our representative, Lori Dolan, is going to be prime in the House. That's probably where our strongest effort will originate. This year, it's a study bill. It's a study bill because we have to collect all the data from counties and cities, tribes, state agencies that we've already collected from all the county assessors. So stay tuned. That's a worthy project. If it occurs, it'll be a relief to our budget and assure high quality imagery into the future. So that's pretty much what I have to say, except for it's good to see y'all. If there's any questions, happy to answer.
Anything for Steve?
No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. County Manager?
So I'd just like to provide an update in related to Linda's report on the Blake issue. We received a letter from AOC, which outlines somewhat of a distribution of money related to the impacts of Blake has on counties. Just to give you an update on that, we reviewed that letter and the distribution allocation with the board. There are some concerns that we have as to how they concluded on that particular distribution of funds. There is not really getting to the point of addressing the overall impacts, not just Thurston County, but all the counties have faced or will be facing as a result of the Blake decision. So I'm drafting, and in fact, I just did this morning, a letter as a request from the board to raise those concerns directly to to AOC. I know there is a larger move afoot on the many different organizations, from the auditors organizations, the clerks organizations, as well as the Washington State Association of Counties. We are not alone in raising those concerns. So We're moving forward on that letter, and I will be sharing that letter with the chair of the House and Senate Ways and Means Committee, as well as the local legislators, and also I will share that letter after the board signs with WASAC. That's my report on that.
Any questions for Ramiro? Go ahead, Steve.
Romero, I would just say that in the statewide legislative meeting with all of the affiliates, we discussed this effort, re-Blake, and all agreed that all of the affiliates have a vested interest in succeeding. And so we will all testify on behalf of our affiliations. Particularly general government has perhaps a surprising interest, not to those in the budget world. We're funded with the general fund. This problem in the end, if it isn't addressed by the state, puts pressure on the general fund. So even if we weren't good partners anyway, we have a vested interest and will express the dire consequences of not having relief in counties like Thurston when the bill comes before committee.
I appreciate that, Stephen. Yeah.
Okay. Robin, did you want to report anything, budget or otherwise?
Good afternoon. And I just want to say thank you to everyone on the call for getting your budgets turned in. And if there's anything you need from either the budget or the central service teams, please let us know.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Robin, to you and your staff, Olivia in particular. We embarked on a process this year that has us submitting multiple requests. The aggregate dollar value is not great, but we figured it was good to explain ourselves. So that took quite a bit of work and quite a bit of support to get it right, and we appreciate it very much.
Great.
I will pass that on to Olivia. She's awesome.
Yep.
You can tell sometimes, I can tell sometimes how on top of things staff are when questions come up on the fly and people have the answers, or they know exactly where to get the answers. And the budget team seems to just be really good about that. They're listening, they understand the question, they either know the answer or within seconds or a few minutes they can get the answer. And Olivia is part of that too, for sure, as well as Robin's people. Okay, let's go to Commissioner Mejia.
I don't think I have much to report on really at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Edwards, anything?
I don't know if I have anything particularly to report on. I just comment that last week we had a pretty good discussion on the governor's mandate on vaccinations and such. And I'm just kind of curious how that might affect the individual offices throughout county government. If I remember right, I think we've got about 400 vaccinated and 700 not vaccinated. I think that was the information from HR. So just kind of throwing that out there, what kind of scuttlebutt do you hear from employees or whatever that may be developing if we move towards a mandate or not, or what your employees are thinking about all that. That's just kind of curious.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, Commissioner, I mean, that's a huge question, complex question, but mostly I'm amazed at the statistics you just gave. We have 33, we have now a vacancy and 3 people who are not vaxxed in my office. So I'm shocked by the countywide numbers. But what I would say is that there are a number of things that remain unresolved, and it would be helpful if they could be resolved with the union, with the prosecutor looking at how the state resolve them and address them. And it doesn't all lead to a vax mandate, Commissioner. The bigger operational frustration is that we don't have a framework for having a discussion with employees. And so we don't talk to employees about their status, and I think that's disadvantageous. And I think that framework probably could be worked out with the union. Secondly, when you hire an employee, you can't ask that question at the county. And when you're in a tight office and it's a team operation, that's a pertinent question. So it would be helpful to have these things worked out through an MOU with healthcare privacy addressed the same way the state is doing it, even if we don't have a vaccination mandate.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with those statistics also, because in my office, it's flipped the other way. Actually, I think I've about 70% vaccinated. And when you ask the question, I think it depends who you ask. If you're asking a vaccinated person, they would feel more comfortable if everybody's vaccinated, because I think they feel a little more at risk around people who've chosen not to get the vaccine. And the other thing that's come up lately too, is there are some offices, while the county is requiring a mask mandate, not everybody is masking up. And I think we need to, if we're going to require a mandate when people are in the workplace, regardless of whether they're open to the public or not, they still use restrooms. People still visit the office. And I would just like to see that tightened up a little bit. I agree with Stephen. I think it would be great if we could go out and have a dialogue with the union. But as I mentioned earlier, I support the mandate. I think we would need to have some accommodations, because there are reasons, and some valid reasons, why people don't want to get the vaccine or can't get the vaccine. But it was required in 1918. It was the law, and our kids are required to have certain vaccines to go to school. And this is a serious health crisis that we're in, and it's not going to get any better until we can shut it down and stop allowing these variants to morph into the next variant. And that's what's going to happen if, people don't get vaccinated and people are still getting sick. So.
Ditto as to restrooms. If we aren't strongly regulating all those who access building 1, then our employees are forced to share restrooms with unmasked individuals whose vaccination status is unknown.
Commissioner, did you get any
Well,
questions?
I was just from my position, I was just interested. I think all of us were shocked when we heard about that 400, 700 number as well. So I'm just wondering how it fits in all the offices and what. That's all. Yeah, maybe I'll ask Romero. I guess that's the number, wasn't it, that we had?
Yes, sir. But it was also on the conversation when Maria provided that information. It was based on the reporting that we have implemented. We don't have an actual method to determine who is vaccinated or not. So right now, under Illinois, we, and this related to masking, we're required to ask individuals who do not want to wear a mask to show us the proof of vaccination. And those reports are given by the supervisors and managers of the many different offices and departments, and those were submitted to HR. That's the only data point the HR, Human Resources, has to provide that number. Most likely it's higher, and it's because we have not received the reports from all the offices and departments. And we have not, and some county employees who have been vaccinated, they have not shown their vaccination card. So there's a lot of caveats related to that number, because that is not really from my point of view, a true representation. It's just a snapshot based on the reports that we have received from offices and departments.
Yeah. Okay. No, just a point of curiosity.
Okay.
Romero, wasn't there a new mandate that masks were required? Even if you're vaccinated, I thought that just came out.
No, it is. No, I'm just talking about the L&I previous as to how we concluded on the number that you heard of vaccinated employees.
Okay.
No, you're right. I'm just going back a little bit in time as to how that number came up.
That's where that 400
Yeah.
is coming from. It's coming from the number of employees that submitted their attestation so
Yeah.
that they didn't have to wear masks. So we know it's at least 400. It's probably a little bit more. It's probably not a ton more. It's probably the same 50% that's vaccinated across the county is my guess. It's probably no county employees don't seem to be any more inclined to be vaccinated than Thurston County residents overall is my guesstimate based on that number.
Maybe this may be a good time to provide an update on this, Commissioner.
Yeah, from you?
Yeah,
Go
related
ahead.
to, as a result of the conversation the board had on requiring vaccinations to county employees this past Friday, the majority of the board asked me to prepare a resolution, and I have that resolution drafted. I'm going to have a conversation with the attorney this afternoon, and I'm expecting to have that resolution for the board's action this coming Tuesday, August 24th. This resolution includes a requirement for vaccination for all county employees, and as an option, if they do not want to use that, includes a testing. Reporting on a weekly basis having a negative test. And that's how the resolution has been drafted. There's a lot of obviously nuances, as you stated. I'm sure the unions will bargain, if the board approves this, will bargain the impact. I don't believe they're going to be able to bargain the decision. It's just bargain the impact. And at that point is when we need to engage the unions in the mechanics. This will take place on the proposed resolution, October 31st, 2021. Also, this resolution has spaces for each office to sign in on this resolution. So each one of you, if the board passes this resolution on Tuesday, will have the opportunity to sign in on this particular resolution.
There's an article in the Olympian about it
Yep.
today, if you want more detail.
Sounds reasonable to me. You know, if you're going to take that vote, I don't mind signing. So I think it's a situation with such gravity that each of us who are directly accountable owe the public to be measured on it by it. So I don't relish the opportunity, but I own it.
So on Friday, after I have the chance to touch base with the attorney, I will send a copy of that resolution, the draft resolution the board may be considering on Tuesday. And I will ask you if you'd like to participate on Board of County Commissioners meeting when they will be considering this action. If you want to.
Unfortunately, I'm in a conference that next week, so, but I just want you to know you do have my support.
Okay, thank you. Well, if there's nothing further, we can adjourn. We've just got a couple minutes left, and there's another state auditors meeting is at 1 p.m. So that's going to be good news for the county.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is. And I have to brag about my financial services report. I mean, they were the department they focused on their accountability audit, and they didn't have a single exit item. So they do it by the book. I'm really proud of them. So anyway, good to see everyone.
Thank you all.
My
Thank you,
puppy
everybody.
says goodbye also.
Yeah,
Bye.
meeting's adjourned. Thank you.